Black Myth: Wukong is an ambitious and highly anticipated action RPG developed by Game Science, a Chinese game studio. First revealed in 2020, it immediately captured the gaming world's attention due to its stunning visuals and engaging premise. Set within Chinese mythology, Black Myth: Wukong draws heavily from the classic 16th century Chinese novel Journey to the West. The story revolves around Sun Wukong, also known as the Monkey King, a legendary figure in Chinese folklore renowned for his incredible strength, shape-shifting abilities, and mischievous nature. Basic and historical background. Black Myth: Wukong is based on one of the most well-known legends in Chinese culture. Journey to the West is a fantastical tale about a monk's journey to retrieve sacred texts, aided by powerful companions, including Sun Wukong, who is central to this narrative. The game adapts this rich source material, focusing on Wukong's abilities, his struggles against various mythical creatures, and the divine entities that obstruct his path. Although Journey to the West has inspired countless adaptations in literature, film, and animation, Black Myth: Wukong is the first to fully embrace modern gaming technology to bring the legend to life in a AAA video game format. Game Science, the developers, is a relatively new studio but consists of industry veterans, many of whom previously worked for larger companies like Tencent. Their goal was to push Chinese mythology and culture into the global gaming spotlight with a high-quality production that could rival any Western AAA game. Technical aspects. Black Myth: Wukong is being developed using the Unreal Engine 5, which enables the game to showcase visually breathtaking environments and detailed character models. The fluidity of combat, impressive lighting effects, and realistic physics have all been highlighted in the early gameplay trailers, drawing significant praise for the game's next-gen quality. Platform: PC and next-gen consoles, PS5, Xbox Series X/S. Graphics engine: Unreal Engine 5. Gameplay style: action RPG with Souls-like elements, challenging combat, strategic use of abilities, boss fights. Combat system: players control Sun Wukong, using his legendary staff, martial arts skills, and shape-shifting abilities to fight enemies. Wukong can transform into various animals and mythical creatures, like a cicada or a giant beast, to overcome obstacles and defeat powerful foes. World setting: inspired by Chinese folklore, the game features vast landscapes, mystical forests, ancient temples, and enemy designs that draw from both Chinese mythology and folklore. Curiosities. One of the reasons Black Myth: Wukong gained so much attention early on was the unprecedented quality of the gameplay trailer, which was shown long before the game was close to completion. When the first 13-minute gameplay demo was released in August 2020, it went viral almost immediately. Gamers were stunned by the visual fidelity, smoothness of combat, and the sheer scale of the mythical creatures. Despite being a small studio at the time, Game Science became a global sensation overnight. Many believed it could be China's first true AAA game with international appeal. The developers have emphasized that the gameplay will focus heavily on timing, strategy, and reflexes, drawing comparisons to games like Dark Souls and Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. The challenging combat system, combined with Wukong's abilities to deceive enemies and manipulate his environment, gives the game a unique feel. Wukong's staff, which can grow and shrink at will, allows for creative combat scenarios, while his transformation abilities add layers of strategy. Lesser-known facts. An interesting aspect of Black Myth: Wukong is that, beyond being a standalone game, it is intended to be the first entry in a larger series known as the Black Myth Trilogy. Each installment will focus on a different tale from Chinese mythology. This trilogy is expected to highlight different heroes and narratives, creating a comprehensive saga rooted in China's rich folklore. Another lesser-known detail is the influence of traditional Chinese opera and martial arts choreography on the game's animations. The developers took inspiration from classical Chinese movements, carefully replicating Wukong's acrobatic fighting style based on these art forms. While the hype surrounding the game is immense, Game Science has remained cautious, opting to delay the game to ensure it meets the high standards set by fans and media. The developers have stressed that they would rather take their time than rush the release, something many players have applauded. In summary, Black Myth: Wukong is shaping up to be a groundbreaking game that merges Chinese mythology with cutting-edge technology. It has quickly become a symbol of China's rising presence in the global gaming industry, showcasing how culturally significant stories can resonate with a worldwide audience. Combining stunning graphics, intricate combat mechanics, and a narrative based on a timeless legend, Black Myth, Wukong has the potential to redefine action RPGs and introduce a new wave of mythologically inspired games to players around the world. Here are some additional curious and lesser-known facts about Black Myth, Wukong. Inspiration from other mythological heroes. While Sun Wukong is the focus, Black Myth, Wukong will feature other legendary characters from Chinese folklore, some of which are not directly part of Journey to the West. The developers have hinted at cameos and enemies inspired by other tales and deities, expanding the game beyond a strict retelling of the original myth. Fluid transformation mechanics. One unique and fascinating feature of the game is Wukong's ability to instantly transform into various creatures, which plays a significant role in both combat and exploration. One of the more bizarre transformations shown in gameplay footage involves Wukong turning into a small, seemingly insignificant insect, like a cicada or even a frog, to sneak past enemies or access hidden areas. Surprise character deaths. In a twist that mirrors modern dark fantasy games, Wukong can die suddenly from surprise attacks if players aren't careful, but not all deaths are what they seem. Wukong, known for his trickster nature, can fake his death to confuse enemies, adding a psychological layer to the gameplay. Enemy design influences. The enemies in Black Myth, Wukong are heavily inspired by creatures from Chinese mythology, but many of them also have bizarre, grotesque designs that take influence from horror elements. Some of the bosses, such as a giant wolf with multiple heads or a towering, skeletal demon, have designs that feel almost Lovecraftian in nature, blending horror with traditional mythology. Dynamic weather and environmental systems. The game boasts a dynamic weather system that directly impacts gameplay. Rain, fog, and snow can change the behavior of enemies or alter the terrain, forcing players to adapt their strategies. For example, heavy rainfall may cause rivers to swell, cutting off certain paths, or it might make certain enemies more aggressive. Adaptive AI. The enemy AI in Black Myth, Wukong is designed to be more than just reactive. Enemies learn from Wukong's patterns, adapting to his tactics if the player repeatedly uses the same approach. This means that players are encouraged to experiment with different abilities and strategies to outwit their foes, which adds depth to the game's challenge. Real-time physics and destruction. One of the game's more impressive technical feats is its real-time physics system. Wukong can use his staff to interact with the environment, breaking certain objects or manipulating them in ways that can affect combat. For example, large boulders or structures can be knocked down to crush enemies or create new pathways. Multiple endings and moral choices. While not much is known about the story progression, the developers have hinted at multiple endings based on player choices throughout the game. These moral decisions could affect Wukong's fate and the overall outcome of the journey, a feature that's rare for a game based on a mythological narrative. Surprise Easter eggs. Despite being rooted in Chinese folklore, the developers have teased the possibility of hidden Easter eggs and references to modern pop culture or Western mythology. Given the global audience, it's possible players might discover nods to other legendary heroes or even sly references to classic games and movies. Meticulous animation research. Game Science went to great lengths to ensure that Wukong's movements, combat stances, and martial arts were accurate representations of Chinese martial arts. They worked with actual martial artists and motion capture technology to ensure that every attack and dodge feels fluid and authentic to the character's mythological origins. Ultra-fast load times. Taking advantage of next-gen hardware, Black Myth, Wukong has been optimized for incredibly fast load times. The developers have claimed that, on platforms like the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, players will barely notice transitions between areas or after deaths, creating a more immersive experience. Parody of game development. Game Science humorously portrayed their development process through an animated short that showed the team members as animals resembling Wukong's allies. This playful take on their own struggles with game development highlighted the challenges of creating a AAA game while maintaining their enthusiasm for the project. Potential multiplayer mode. Although the game is primarily a single-player experience, there have been unconfirmed rumors that a multiplayer mode could be in development. This might involve co-op gameplay where other players can join in as different characters from the Journey to the West lore, though the developers have yet to provide any official details. Hidden meanings and names. Some of the enemy and boss names in the game carry hidden meanings and deeper cultural references. These names often hint at their weaknesses or abilities, which players with knowledge of Chinese folklore might recognize and use to their advantage during battles. These additional facts demonstrate just how much depth and creativity game science is pouring into Black Myth, Wukong. From intricate mythological influences to state-of-the-art technical features, the game promises to offer a rich and multifaceted experience.